Look at this defense. The guys aren't in there. Get in there. Get my guys in there.
Former NFL coach John Madden has lent his name to a Sega football game with 17 different teams and more than 100 plays.
I can't stop them. I can't stop this team.
Touchdown! You just can't play a game where you have an offense against a defense. You ever say, what down is it? First down? Boom, I get these guys. Boom, boom. Second down, these are the things you do in second down.
Good blocking, huh?
This game is geared toward a different market than Nintendo, according to the senior editor of Game Pro magazine, Mike Myers.
We'll take the flip, the kick, the headbutt, and the taunt. Brr, throw in that and that. Looks good. Give me the field, too. Grab the stadiums, grab that, grab that. Do you have anything in a clothesline tackle? Good. Give me that. Give me the wave. No, no, yes. We'll take that, the dive. Party time. Let's do that and that. Not that, and that. Give me that again. Timeout. If it's in the game, it's in the game. John Madden Football 93 for Super NES and Sega Genesis.
Where'd that truck come from?
EA Sports.
CGQ Plus.
So I think probably every year since I started this show, I've wanted to do a Thanksgiving flashback. I mean, we did one Halloween episode, like Halloween special. I've done, I think, 2 Christmas specials. And I always meant to do one for Thanksgiving. And every year, you know, it doesn't really help that, like, Thanksgiving is the first day you have off of the 4-day weekend. Because, like, you know, sometime during that 4-day weekend, I would have time to make the video. But I've never had time to make it before Thanksgiving before. So this year, I kind of made it a priority. Especially just because for a lot of people, including myself, this isn't really going to be a normal Thanksgiving. So anything that we can do to maybe try to have some of that Thanksgiving feeling, we should do. So I was thinking about it, like when you're a kid, there's basically 6 major holidays during the year, not including your birthday, which is kind of like your own personal holiday. And it's weird that so many of those holidays are packed into such a small space. You have Easter, obviously, which comes first, which I think is usually in like early April, right? I don't really celebrate Easter, so... but when you're a little kid, you know, the Easter bunny and the Easter baskets and, you know, when I was a kid, we used to always dye eggs. Like my mom would buy one of those little egg dyeing kits with like the little wire hook to dip the eggs in the water. But really, for me at least, Easter is like the first holiday that, for me, growing up in a non-religious household, that we stopped, or that I stopped really caring about. Like, to me, Easter was just the last day of spring break. But, you know, I know for some people, Easter's a big deal, going to church, getting, you know, dressed up real nice, going to special Easter service, coming home, having a huge meal, like, on par with Thanksgiving. That wasn't part of my experience growing up. So really, once it was like, okay, no more with the eggs and whatnot, I didn't really care too much about Easter anymore. Then the next one you have is, of course, the 4th of July, which I've talked about in the past. 4th of July is a huge deal. First of all, it's during summer vacation. At least where I live, I could go buy fireworks, and, you know, we'd go to the booth and buy the fireworks and modify them to, you know, make them even more dangerous. And then, of course, we'd go to some kind of fireworks show. And I still love 4th of July to this day. But the other 4 holidays all take place in exactly a 2-month span. From October 31st to December 31st, you have like the quadrifecta of major holidays, that you have Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and when I say New Year's, really New Year's Eve, right? New Year's Eve is the fun part. New Year's Day, to me growing up, New Year's Day was just, you know, maybe one of the last days I have off before I have to go back to school at the end of Christmas break or winter break. And I mean, I have just tons of nostalgia wrapped up in all 4 of those holidays. And we've talked about New Year's, we've talked about Christmas, and we've talked about Halloween, but I'd never gotten around to talking about Thanksgiving. Now, as an adult, you know, we don't have any family that lives nearby. And so really, usually it's just the 2 of us, my wife and I, having Thanksgiving, or sometimes my mom will come up here if my stepdad, you know, kind of goes off with with his kids. But we didn't do that last year for I don't remember what reason, and then obviously we're not doing it this year. But so like at the most we have like maybe my mom is with us for Thanksgiving. But for me growing up, I think that I got to experience what at least was for me the stereotypical American Thanksgiving, and that's my memories of those Thanksgivings are like every bit as precious as any Halloween or Christmas memory that I can think of. So when I was growing up, we used to always go have Thanksgiving with my stepmom's family. And I've said before, I don't like my stepmom, but there were a lot of great people in my stepmom's family. And so going and having Thanksgiving with them was awesome. And so like what we would do, because we didn't live that close to them, but it was like driving distance, is, we would get up on, Thursday morning on Thanksgiving, and, my stepmom, my dad, my little sister, and me, we would all pile into the car, and it was about a 3-hour drive to get down to my stepmom's parents' house, because they were the ones that always hosted Thanksgiving. So, we would leave, sometime in the morning, fairly kind of early, I guess, I don't know. And so we would get there, I don't know, let's just say at noon or something like that, 11:30, noon. And by the time we got there, everybody else was already there. And because they all lived a lot closer than, some of them lived in the same town. I mentioned before that I still call them my grandparents. Like they were my grandparents as far as I'm concerned. They lived in a really small town. Like it was a little Swedish enclave down in the Central Valley. But some of their family lived in the area with them, and we were the ones that lived a couple more hours away. So by the time we got there, everybody else was already there, and she had a pretty big family. So we would get there. It was my grandparents' house. We had my grandmother and my grandfather. For a while, my grandmother's mother, my great-grandmother, was still alive, Grandma Callender, so she would be there. And then my stepmom had a brother and 2 sisters. So her first sister, Lois, her husband, that's my Aunt Lois. And then my Uncle Dallas, his name really was Dallas. It still is. Which is, first of all, that's an awesome name. I think I mentioned Dallas before because he looked, to me at least, just like the drummer from ZZ Top. So he didn't have the big beard. He looked a little, I think he had like curly light brown hair and a mustache. But anyway, so did my Uncle Dallas. But then my Uncle Dallas, they had 2 sons, the older of which, Matt, was the same age as me, within a month or 2 or something. And then he had a little brother, Jared. And we were all very close. But then my Uncle Marvin, that was my stepmom's brother, and then my Aunt Susan, they had 2 kids. And their son, Kurt, was also about the same age as Matt and I. And then they also had a daughter, Whitney, who was a couple of years younger. And then my other aunt, Aunt Nancy, she was there with her husband, Jim. And they were, I think my Aunt Nancy was like the baby of the family. Because I felt like when I was a kid, like they were maybe only still in their 20s. And so like we would hang out more with Uncle Jim because like he was a little bit younger. And so he'd come outside and, play with us or whatever. And then there was like a couple other people around. There was like this lady, Barbara, that was always there that I was never really clear on who she was. Like I don't think she was like actually related. I mean, neither was I, right? But I think she was maybe just somebody like a family friend who didn't maybe have anywhere to go for Thanksgiving. And she would bring this kid with her, Oliver. And I don't know if that was like her kid or her adopted kid or what that was all about. But Oliver was like a little bit older than us. But you know how like when you're a kid, somebody can be like literally 3 or 4 years older than you, but it seems like they're like way older. Like I think I mentioned before that like when I was in like 1st or 2nd grade, the 6th graders looked like adults to us. So I'm saying Oliver might have been like 16 and we were like 11 or 12, and we would have thought Oliver was like practically a grown-up. But I think that's everybody. I don't remember. But so like we would get there, and all the guys would be, the adult, grown-up guys, would be in the living room, all of them, with the, wooden console TV with the football game on. All the ladies would be in the kitchen, either cooking or sitting at the kitchen table because they had nothing to do, or like, maybe somebody would be sitting at the kitchen table with the green beans, like snapping the green beans. And then, all the kids would be, playing somewhere, maybe in the house, maybe out in the yard, or maybe I would get there. I'd have to ask, like, where is everybody? And, I'd be told, like, oh, they're in the neighborhood somewhere. You're going to have to go find them. And so, the main thing I remember, and I kind of mentioned this before, is like, I got along really well with all of my cousins, and I didn't hardly ever get to see them because we didn't all live in the same area. And so the holidays was the only time that I got to see them. And we would just have so much fun. Like, the main thing I looked forward to going to Thanksgiving wasn't Thanksgiving dinner. It was the few hours before Thanksgiving dinner. Because, we didn't have any video games. Like, nobody had like an Atari or a Nintendo or anything at the house, which wouldn't have mattered because there was only one TV. And it was in the living room, so we wouldn't have been able to use it anyway. But like, nobody there was like, oh, there's no video. We didn't care. The main things we used to do is we would go play football in the front yard. And it was kind of like what I was saying in the last flashback about baseball, where it's like, you didn't have enough kids to actually field a team, but you'd kind of go out there and like fake it. Like with baseball, you use like, ghost runners or whatever. Well, football, we didn't really do that, but it would be all four of us boys. And I don't know, like, because my little sister at this time, she would have been like 3 years old. So, I mean, I think she was pretty much staying in the house with her mom. But, like, maybe Whitney would have come out and hung out. Because Whitney was like maybe, I don't know, a couple of years younger than me. So she wasn't too little. But, like, Oliver would come out there. And then my Uncle Jim would come out there. And usually he would be the quarterback, my Uncle Jim. Because out of all of us, like, he could throw a football better than the rest of us. And so like he'd be like calling the plays, like, okay, you're going to go this way and cut over there and you're going to do this or whatever, and then a couple of us would have to play defense and we would just play like two-hand touch. And we would do that like until, my Uncle Jim, at some point, like he would have had enough, I mean, a guy like, around 30 years old doesn't want to spend that much time around a bunch of 12-year-old boys, unless there's something wrong with them. So, he'd go back in the house. All right, that's enough with you guys. And we'd have to go find something else to do. And like, I might have mentioned this before, but like one of the things we used to love to do is my grandpa had a set of golf clubs in the garage. But what was funny is like, it was a really old set of golf clubs. It was like one of those golf bags where it was like a really skinny little bag. And like all the clubs, the drivers were all wood. So it kind of, and I never, like he never golfed that I ever saw or talked about golf or watched golf. And, it's probably something where I bet like one summer in the 70s, he decided he was going to try playing golf and like bought a set of clubs and then just lost interest and just left him in the garage, And so, we'd go in the house and he'd be sitting on the couch in his normal spot. We'd ask him, hey, Grandpa, can we take your golf clubs and, go hit some balls? And my grandfather didn't really ever have too much to say about anything, but, he'd be like, oh yeah, fine. He didn't care. And, where they lived, the end of the street, like, they had their little street they lived on, and then there was like a busy street at the end of the street. And then right on the other side of the street was like the back side of the high school. Like this was a small enough town that it only had one high school. And like that was like the back side of it. So that's where like the athletic fields were. And this was before, like now all these schools, like the campuses are all locked down, so you can't go on the campus. But, the gates were just open. You just walked right in. And so we'd all walk in there and each one of us had like a golf club, and there was like, there was only like 3 drivers in the bag. So like somebody would get stuck with an iron. And we would go out there and we would just hit balls around, very poorly, obviously, because none of us knew how to swing a golf club. But we would all just be going and hitting balls around on the grass. And if we got tired of that, we'd bring a football, the football we were using, because we could go over to the football field and the uprights were there, and we would be trying to kick field goals and stuff. And I just have a lot of memories of doing that kind of stuff. Or like, I mean, they lived in like a neighborhood where, it was, all the houses were like a little bit smaller, and so they were like more affordable. And so I think there were a lot of like younger people, like not young, but I'm saying like families that would live in the neighborhood. Like this wasn't like some older neighborhood with like a bunch of old people whose parents or whose kids were all grown up and out of the house. Like I feel like that's kind of the neighborhood I live in now. Like there's not really a lot of kids in this neighborhood. But in the neighborhood that my grandparents lived in, there were like a lot of kids. And so we could also go around the neighborhood because like my cousins, Matt and Jared, lived in the same town. And so they went over to my grandparents' house on a semi-regular basis. So like they knew some of the kids in the neighborhood. And so, we would go over, we're going to go over to like, I don't know, Billy's house or whatever. And I think I mentioned before, that was the first time, this was not during Thanksgiving, but it was in that neighborhood the first time I ever saw a Nintendo Entertainment System. Maybe that was like either during the summer or maybe like spring break. Because I normally only went to their house for like holidays. So maybe I went there for Easter one year, I don't know. In 1987, we went over to this kid's house and he had Nintendo. It must have been summer because I feel like it wasn't that long before I ended up getting my own Nintendo because my dad was all excited about it. But anyway, that was in that neighborhood, and that was just from us going around the neighborhood, to other people's houses or whatever. And, I don't know if it's normal for other people, but like, growing up, we always ate Thanksgiving dinner at like 3:30 in the afternoon. Which is good because you don't want to eat that much food late at night, especially as you get a little bit older. But, so we would be out of the house for like a few hours. But I think we must have just known like what time to come back. Or, we used to come back, kind of like regularly, I would say, just because we wanted something to drink or somebody had to use the bathroom or we were just hungry because I think like you basically didn't get lunch that day. And so like I would have left my house, with my parents to drive down there. And I don't know, maybe like 9 a.m. at the latest. And I probably just had a couple bowls of cereal for breakfast. And so by the time it was the middle of the afternoon, I was probably getting pretty hungry. But like, I don't remember going there and there being like snacks like set out, like chips and dip or anything like that. Because of course you don't want to ruin your dinner. And so I think often we would come back and we would ask like, oh, how much longer? And they would, okay, well, 45 more minutes. And so we would just kind of know, okay, we can go out for 45 more minutes and do whatever we want. And then like at some point you'd come back into the house and so like when you went into my grandparents, it's not a very big house at all. It was like a 2-bedroom house. You'd walk in the front door and you were on like one side of the living room. Like the living room was like pretty long and very narrow and it like stretched along like it's like a ranch style house. I don't know if some of you guys know what a ranch style house is. It's very common here in California. The living room stretched along like the left side of the front of the house. And then there was like a picture window and then like the wooden console TV was under the picture window. There was like a fireplace on that same wall. And yeah, so it was like a long, narrow living room. And then from the front door, you could take a couple of steps forward and turn right. And then there was like the hall bathroom and then like the 2 bedrooms. And then oddly, and then on the far side of the living room was one of the doors going into like the kitchen. And like the kitchen had like an area where there was a table and then the actual kitchen. But then the weird thing was, so this house must have been built in like the late 50s or 60s, just based on this feature alone. From the front door, if you just walked straight ahead, the same wall that was like the back wall of the living room, there was a doorway right in front of you. Like not a door, just a doorway, like kind of a bigger doorway. And one of the things I remember about that doorway is my grandparents had this thing hanging in the doorway. I don't even know what you would call it. It was like all these rows, like maybe 5 rows of these like plastic pieces where like the first row would have like, piece. And then the second row or column, the pieces were all offset. And then the same thing for the subs, so that they all kind of fit together. So it kind of made this partition without being a door. It seems like the kind of thing you would see hanging on in like a Chinese restaurant, like between the kitchen and the dining room. I don't know why I think that, but all these pieces were just plastic. And I remember we used to love running through that thing because it would make so much noise and they would yell at us to knock it off, or whatever. But you'd go into like this little room and on the left was a piano, like a little upright piano because my grandmother played the piano. And then on the right was a bar, like a bar. And like it was up against the wall and you'd have to go all the way around the bar to get behind it, like if you were the bartender. And it even had that pleather pad going around the bar top so that if you were sitting there, your forearms were resting on this thing. And I mean, it was built into the house. It's not like my grandfather said, I'm going to put in a bar. Because the funny thing was, my grandparents didn't drink. Like my grandparents were like super conservative, religious, like, you go to church every Sunday wearing your best clothes. You don't take the Lord's name in vain. You don't ever cuss. You don't let alcohol touch your lips. I mean, like, you say grace before every meal, like that kind of, people. So the fact that they had a bar in their house and then just left it there, seems kind of weird, because like if you went and looked behind the bar, they just like used it for storage or whatever. But then like if you walked through that room, that's where there was a doorway to the side, and then you could get into the kitchen from the other side. But I mean, like there was no beer in the fridge. In fact, one thing we used to hate about going there is there was never anything to drink, except like you could have water out of the tap, or my grandmother would buy diet caffeine-free Coke, which to us was just like, I mean, what's even the point of that? And plus, she didn't even want to give them to us, And she was a nice lady, but it was like, oh, those are my Cokes, But anyway, so we would come back, they'd say, okay, 3:30's dinner or whatever. And like you'd walk into the room, and all of a sudden, even though it wasn't there before, was like this huge long table stretched out the entire length of the living room. Or really, it was two tables. There was like, farther in there was like the bigger table that, I mean, it must have seated like, I don't know, 12 people, however many adults were there. And then again, very stereotypical Thanksgiving, over by the fireplace closer to the front door was the kiddie table. And so like, me, Matt, Jared, Kurt, and Whitney would all sit at the kiddie table. And I think my sister was like small enough that she might have actually just sat on my stepmom's lap, because like, she probably needed help eating or something. I don't remember. She might have sat at the kiddie table with us. I don't remember. But, and then all the food would start coming out of the kitchen. And I mean, it's funny, I still want to do this to this day, and my wife kind of has to stop me. But like, because we always had, my grandmother would make, a full-sized turkey and a full-sized ham. Because, I mean, I guess some people prefer one over the other. I mean, we used to always have a little bit of both. But like to this day, I want to have turkey and ham for Thanksgiving. But, like my wife is like, there's just two of us, and she's right. So we don't. But we had turkey and ham, of course, mashed potatoes and gravy, stuffing, candied yams. My stepmom used to always make green bean casserole, which is funny. That was my favorite thing when I was a kid. Like, she would make green bean casserole. I was like, oh, this is so good. Even though it's just like green beans and like cream of mushroom soup, and then those French's onions on top, which is funny because now I don't like it anymore. I don't know why. Like, green bean casserole to me now just like tastes weird, and I don't really, maybe if I had it made with like better cream of mushroom soup or something, I don't really know. But cream corn, I remember we always had cream corn. Which is funny again, because I can't remember the last time I feel like cream corn is just corn blended up with like lots of sugar added. So I don't like that anymore. But when you're a kid, that sounds like delicious. And then we would have biscuits, buttermilk biscuits, but like out of like a can, like a Pillsbury can or something. Which to me, those are fine. I just don't want to give the false impression that somebody was making fresh biscuits. We'd all just sit there and shovel food into our mouths. And, it was kind of cool having the kiddie table, to be honest. Like, Oliver, by the way, did not sit at the kiddie table. Because that way we could sit there and just have our own conversation or whatever, and, not have to worry about, manners as much, or trying to be quiet and not participate in the conversation that the adults were having. We would be sitting there like, oh man, you see how Will Clark's doing this season, or, or whatever kids talk about. And then after dinner, everything would get cleared off, and we'd have dessert, and always at least a couple different kinds of pie. I mean, again, there's like 20 people in the house, so I mean, pumpkin pie, apple pie. I think they used to make like mincemeat pie, which is like dried fruit. It's not meat, right? It's like dried fruit and nuts, like chopped up and made into a pie. Because I think my grandfather liked mincemeat pie. I never ate that. I always got pumpkin, but and then after that, like the table would get cleared off, and then, again, just stereotypically, all the women would go back into the kitchen and do all the dishes, and, the guys would take the tables, break the tables down, because they were all just folding tables, break those down and put them away, and then they all go sit on the couch or in a recliner chair, maybe unbuckle your belt a little bit, and, rub your belly, and maybe the late game was still on the TV, even though nobody was watching it. And, eventually, just when all the dishes were done, like, they'd all come out of the kitchen, and everybody would just kind of sit in the living room. And, of course, as kids, we had to sit on the floor, so that the adults could have the furniture and just talk about whatever until it was time to go. And I think usually we would probably drive home. I don't recall ever spending the night down there because there just wouldn't have been room. Just driving home that night, but those are really and that was I just described to you like multiple Thanksgivings, not just one. That was just sort of the standard of what we did every year for Thanksgiving until my dad passed away, I guess. Because after that, I just kind of stayed with my mom. But those Thanksgiving memories are at least as precious to me as Halloween or Christmas, especially because I don't have that kind of experience anymore for Thanksgiving. So some of you out there might be watching this and maybe you do have a big family, or you host Thanksgiving at your house, and maybe you get kind of tired of it because it's a pain. But the grass is always greener on the other side, and so I'm telling you, as somebody who doesn't get to have that anymore, that I really miss it. So be thankful for Thanksgiving that you have all this family around with you. But so that gets us into the next thing that we're going to talk about today. Like I said, I like to keep this show as sort of a variety show. And one of the things that for me will always be linked with Thanksgiving is football. And like I said, every Thanksgiving, when I was a kid, there was always the football games on TV. Even now for Thanksgiving, like if I hang out with my mom for Thanksgiving, like my mom would rather that we just sat on the couch together and watched football and not worry about, the cooking and whatnot. So to this day, I love watching football as much as I can, at least on Thanksgiving. I think, my wife doesn't care about football really, so she would rather we did something together that we could both enjoy. But I try to still sneak a little bit of it in there. But much as football is always linked with me, for me, with Thanksgiving, one man for me will always be linked with both football and Thanksgiving, and that is John Madden. And I cannot put into words how much I miss John Madden. I know he's still with us, but he's, of course, he's very old, and he had a very long, distinguished career, and now he's retired. But especially when I watch games on Thanksgiving and during the Christmas season, I really feel the absence of John Madden, especially Thanksgiving though. Like with the turducken, how many people out there had ever even heard of a turducken until you learned about it from John Madden? And every year they would show it on the TV, and Madden would use the telestrator to oh, all right, well, the turkey's here, and then they got the duck inside that, and the chicken, and the John Madden turducken always had 6 legs, like the 6 drumsticks hanging off of it. And I actually finally got to have turducken one year because one of my local stores was selling turduckens, boneless. I guess all turducken is boneless. I'm not really sure. They were selling not pre, but you still had to bake it. But they put, I don't remember I think it's the chicken goes inside the duck and the duck goes inside the turkey. And then there's stuffing inside of that. And then I think it's only the turkey that still has the skin on it. And then it's all tied up. So this one didn't have any legs. So, and I don't know, it was all right. It was pretty good. But yeah, so I always think of John Madden. And what occurred to me just today is, and I'd already decided I was going to talk about this game, but I didn't realize. So the game that we're going to go downstairs in a minute and play is, nobody talks about sports games, but this is maybe one of the most important video games ever released. And that is the original John Madden Football for the Genesis. Now this is not, I talked about this in the Sega Genesis in 1990 episode. This is not the original John Madden Football because it came out for the Apple II before it came out. And that was a different game really, but that was the first John Madden Football. But John Madden Football, this very game, which by the way is in a cardboard box. Some of you guys didn't know, very early EA titles. I have this game and I have Zany Golf, but I think the first, was it Lakers versus Celtics in the NBA playoffs, also came in a cardboard box, and I think there may have been a few, I bet Budokan probably came in a cardboard box. Anyway, this game came out in November of 1990. So, first of all, 30 years ago tomorrow, or Thursday rather, people were probably playing this game at Thanksgiving. But second of all, that means that this month is the 30th anniversary of John Madden Football, and I personally have not seen any mention of it whatsoever on social media. And maybe people are talking about it and I just missed it, but I can't believe that that's not a bigger story. I still love playing this game. I have several John Madden Football games. Here I got, we don't need to go through all of these, I guess, but I mean, it's kind of interesting. Oh man, I have more of them than I thought. So we can try to do these in order, I guess. So, John Madden Football, cardboard box. Where's the next one? John Madden 92. So technically that would be John Madden 91, but they just called it John Madden Football because it was the first one. Where's Madden 93? Did I leave it downstairs? It might be downstairs. I definitely have Madden 93. But maybe more importantly, I also have John Madden Football Championship Edition, which my friend Michael from up in Lake Oswego, Oregon sent me. So just once again, thank you, because that's awesome. And then I have 94 and 95. And this is after they switched to this white box art, which I understand that made it stand out on store shelves, but I vastly prefer the older EA box art style. And it's funny because Madden 93 is actually my favorite Madden, and it's around here someplace. Maybe it's down in the basement or something. I don't know, but none of that really matters anyway, because we are going to play the original Madden. This game is completely unlicensed, so like no player names, no team names, although like the teams are all identified by city, and they all have the same color scheme. So like you don't really notice that it's not licensed. And I think even the player numbers are the same. You have different weather. Like you can play on a sunny day. I think you can play in the rain. You can definitely play in the snow. It's got like a playbook that, resembles, I assume, an NFL playbook. Obviously, I've never seen an actual NFL playbook, but this game is like leaps and bounds beyond anything else that came out before it on home consoles, like Tecmo Bowl, Tecmo Super Bowl, TV Sports Football. I don't even know NES Play Action Football, or John Elway's quarterback, a 10-yard fight. The minute this game came out, it immediately became the greatest football game ever made, and it set the standard for all future football games. And so the fact that this is the 30th anniversary of the game and no one's really talking about it is really a crime, in my opinion. So now we're going to head down to the basement, and we are going to, much like we did with the baseball game, a World Stadium Baseball, whatever it was called, Pro Yaku World Stadium 91, sorry. Last episode, we're going to go down in the basement, and we're going to play one complete game of John Madden Football, and hopefully we will win. So let's go down there. Okay, so now we're down here in the basement, obviously, and we're going to go ahead and load up a game of the original John Madden Football. So playing it on the Mister again, by the way, not just because it's easier. I already have it hooked up for recording gameplay footage. Here it is. We're going to hit load, and here we go. Here we've got the original Electronic Arts splash screen on the Genesis. And before anybody asks, I am drinking Rainier beer because only the best for my mother's baby boy. All right, hit start. So you don't get a whole lot of options with this game. There's no season mode. You have regular season, sudden death playoffs, full. I think sudden death is like it gives you a game and you're playing like in sudden. I've never actually messed with that. And then you can play playoffs. You can do a complete playoffs, and I think it uses password-based save system. But so we'll just do regular season, obviously. And I was going to play Denver versus San Francisco. The reason that is set in there is because that was the then latest Super Bowl was January of 1990, because it was the '89 season, was Denver versus San Francisco. We will leave it at 5 minutes for, that's the length of each quarter, but that'll be plenty long. So, okay, we'll go ahead and hit start. It's got like that signature early EA music with like the, synth electric guitar and the drums. You see, you get a little scouting report for each team here. Denver scouting report, golden-armed golden boy. That's, of course, John Elway. 3 quality receivers, powerful, slashing back, great pass coverage. Yeah. Okay. All right, here we go. Now we're gonna get. I forgot. You don't even get a coin flip in this game. We just get the ball first. I haven't played this game in a while, so I mean, that's kind of a cheap move, doing the little dive at the end. You can get a couple extra yards. I haven't played this game in a while, so I mean, I'm not going to be putting on a clinic here exactly. You just get this. Oh, this guy is so slow. Oh man, that's no good. So you see here, you get. I don't have a whole lot of time to talk because there's a play clock, but you get. These are the different groups you can have on your offense: normal, hands, fast. So if you switch to a different group, you have to sub in new players. So I'm just going to leave it on normal because then there's no subbing. And then you have. I mean, I'm not like a football expert here, but these are like different classes of plays. So I'm just going to pick that one. We already did halfback toss left. That didn't work. Let's try a passing play. Play clock is almost out. Oh my God, I barely got that off. And then I hit the button one too many times. So this is not an easy game to play while talking. It is, however, a pretty easy game. So hopefully we don't screw it up too badly. I'm going to run the same play again. So you may have noticed this play uses passing windows. So you can hit B to just keep saying, hut to try to, I guess, draw them off sides. C hikes the ball, and then we're going to hit C again to bring up the passing windows, and then you just basically throw the ball to whoever you think is open. And he was open when I threw it, but he wasn't open anymore. And now it's 4th and 16. So a lot of times I'll just go for it in this game. I can be a little bit too much of a cowboy, but we'll go ahead and punt it away. Hopefully we can contain him on defense. That was not the world's greatest punt. Oh my God, that guy just took off. Wow. All right, now I like blitzing a lot on offense, which, that's a double-edged sword. You can get burned real bad on a pass. But, so I like to grab one of these linebackers and, bring him inside here. All right, what did they get out of that? All right, they gained 5. Not great. Nickel. Reed. So double blitz is what we did last time. Do tight man coverage there. It's funny, football is a game I really enjoy, but if you ask me to really explain formations and stuff like that, I really don't know. Oh, dang it. I pushed the wrong button. I could have tackled him. I was pushing C, which puts your hands up in the air. A is what I needed to push to dive. What is this? We don't want that. I don't even like any of these. Oh, damn it. So I didn't pick a play in time, so I think it just probably reloads the previous play. I don't even know. Oh, there you go. All right. That was a big... I sacked that guy. Well, I didn't sack him. That was a running back. But tackling him behind the line of scrimmage for like a 10-yard loss, so that's good. Blitz again. They're still in... barely, I would say, in field goal range, but and you know, it's funny, I was saying in the intro that the team colors were consistent, but honestly the Broncos don't really look that, these look more like the Oilers, to be honest. Oh, all right, there you go. That's another loss. That's 5 more. That might take them out of field goal range. That's 3rd and 25. Boy, that makes me not want to. Yeah, I'm just going to do a zone play here. Because they're going to have to pass the ball realistically. Although I don't know with this. Sometimes the AI on this game is not great. But I mean, basically, we're trying to not. Oh, look at that! 4th and 28. I mean, there's no way they're kicking a field goal now, right? Nope, they're punting it. Wow. After that first couple plays, I was worried. Oh, okay, good. Touchback. I was afraid I was going to get pinned inside the 5 there for a minute. Okay. All right, I'm going for a deep ball right now. All right, well, that's not that deep, but oh, that's not bad. Out to the 50. End of the first quarter already. Wow. Normal. Shotgun again. Yeah. What are you? Oh, I didn't. See, the only problem with the passing windows is sometimes you don't know who you're passing to, really. I didn't mean to pass to that guy. I especially didn't mean to hit him in the back of the head. One thing you got to do with this game, though, is once you pass the ball, you take control of the receiver, and you can actually hit a button to catch the ball. You don't have to, but it helps make sure that you catch the ball. See, I put my hands up there. Oh, I should have dove. If I had dove at the last minute, I would have picked up the first down. I got greedy. Let's see here. All right. See, now since we're in Broncos territory, if I don't make it here, I'll probably go for it. Oh. It's okay, we got it. All right. See, I'm doing the normal with all of this. Shotgun. Go for this one again. So it shows you, but it's just hard to remember. It shows you on the play screen which button is which receiver, and you just have to kind of remember. I overthrew him. Ooh, pass interference. Wow. That hurts. Not us, but the Broncos. Nice. Okay. Where are we on? We're on the 8-yard line. 1st and goal on the 8. Yeah. All right, what do we pick up? 4? 3. All right. We're not close enough yet for goal line. We need, where's... I just forget, where's play action? Oh, pick something. Ah. I had to call timeout there. All right. You. All right, this one should work. Maybe. Where were you going, man? Oh, jeez. All right. Okay. Okay. I'm going to be really upset if we have to settle for a field goal here. Oh, he stepped out of bounds, you idiot. I don't feel like that's who I was supposed to be throwing to. All right, we got to go for a field goal. I can't not put points on the board. You know, one thing I forgot to talk about, I forgot to talk about this in the intro or whatever you want to call the first half, but I feel like I don't ever talk about this. Just a second. Is like the TV specials, the holiday TV specials. I used to always look forward to those. Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, there would always be like a Peanuts or Charlie Brown special, and there'd be a Garfield special, But I mean, to be honest, I'm more, I used to love, oh, pick it up. Oh, nice. Recovered a fumble. I loved Garfield. I used to read all the Garfield books. I used to read Garfield in the newspaper. And Garfield was on Saturday mornings at one point too, I think. But to be honest, those holiday specials were okay, but I have much more nostalgia for the Peanuts specials. And in particular, really, could you float it up there anymore? In particular, the Thanksgiving, I don't know if it was just called It's Thanksgiving, Charlie Brown, or what it was called, but the Great Pumpkin was pretty good, and the Christmas one was all right. I don't remember the Christmas one, but I'm sure it was fine. But oh, there it is. But the Thanksgiving one was always my favorite. Like all the kids were having like their own Thanksgiving, which of course seems kind of nonsensical, but there we go. Oh, damn it. I hit the dive button, but I think like a fraction of a second too late. But it's funny, like when I was a kid, like I always knew when those were on. Like, I don't know, I guess I would like check the TV listings or something, but like I always knew when those specials were going to be on TV. And I mentioned before, like when I was a little kid, I used to go over to my grandparents' house like 1 or 2 nights a week, and I would often watch TV in my grandma's room with her because she would let me watch whatever I wanted. And so I would usually, if it was that night, then I would watch that, holiday special in her room with her. And like I would sit on the floor in front of the TV, like at the foot of her bed. Oh, but I think, I thought I read that now all those specials are only on like whatever it's called, Disney Plus or whatever. Boy, you remember when those subscription online services seemed like the answer to cable TV? And it's funny because now it's like you can spend more money trying to watch stuff that way. If you subscribe to, like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, like it can get to the point where, you're spending as much as you were spending on cable, unfortunately. Come on. Yeah. You know, like I have YouTube TV, and that's like, I mean, what is it, like 60, 70 bucks a month or something. So like paying for more, you know, premium services on top of that, like gets really expensive. Like I have Amazon Prime, but really I have it for the shipping. Like I've had Amazon Prime since before they had all that video stuff. And we had Hulu, but we canceled it. I do still have Netflix, I guess, but I don't really watch it that much. But that's my point, is like, well, I mean, YouTube TV I never expected to be really cheaper than cable. I just got that so I could watch sports. But yeah, I mean, I'm just saying you could get like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, like HBO Max. You know, they have like the little things where you can just watch some sports. It gets to be a lot. They didn't get a chance to pick a defensive play. Get him. Oh, no. Oh, I almost intercepted it. That's the thing. You can take control of the defender, and then you can hit that same button to catch the ball if you were the receiver, and you're catching it as like a corner or a safety or whatever. So, you know, this game, you have more control than you might think you do, but like that's the difference between like being a good player and being a great player at this game. And like I said, I don't consider myself to be a great player at all, but like my buddy Anthony, he came over one time and we were playing this game, and like he was showing me some stuff because he's very good at playing this game. Probably only, we got 6 seconds left on the clock before the end of the half, so probably only time for one more play. But, you know, going back to just talking about John Madden and just, you know, how much I miss his presence on TV, you know, really it's not even just him. It was like my favorite pairing was when he was with Pat Summerall. Oh yeah, here you go. You get a little halftime, some stats here. 4-1 on first downs. Boy, neither one of us has any rushing yards to speak of, but it's 60-7 in my favor for passing yards. 2 sacks. They've got a higher completion percentage, though. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, John Madden and Pat Summerall, to me, that was like the best pairing in like broadcast football. I mean, it was okay when like when John Madden went to Sunday Night Football with Al Michaels. Like, I mean, that's a good pairing too, I guess. But as much as I like Al Michaels, like I used to love John Madden and Pat Summerall because their styles were such opposites, and that's what I think made them work so well together. Because it's like it didn't really matter what happened on the field. Like Pat Summerall never got excited about anything. He also had an awesome voice, like this deep, like how did he get that? A very traditional like broadcast voice, and you know, he would just call what was on the field, but not in a way that made him sound bored. But it was just sort of this stoicism that that I loved, and it was a good balance for John Madden because John Madden got excited about everything. You know, he acted like a kid in a candy store with like you could tell how much he loved football. You know, he'd go crazy with the telestrator and whatnot, and that's why those guys just worked so well together. Nice. 9-yard loss. I'll take it. See, lots of blitzing. I mean, now, I don't, you know, what do we got now? We got Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth. On Sunday Night Football, they're okay. The new Monday Night crew is not bad. I've always been a fan of Steve Levy going back to, you know, 20 years ago. Well, not quite 20 years ago, I guess. But, well, no, 20 years ago. God, I'm old. When I was watching the NHL on ESPN, I always liked Steve Levy. So to see him get the Monday night job, you know, I mean, not that it affects me any or anything, but I was very happy for him. But I guess probably now Jim Nantz and Tony Romo on CBS, I would say, are probably just the premier, like regardless of network, I think they're like the premier commentating crew. tried to pick that one off, but I didn't. 4th and 19, baby. Let's do punt block. I don't think I've ever successfully blocked a punt in this game, but we're going to try anyway. I've gotten close. I should look on YouTube and see if like anybody's ever done it. See, we weren't even that close. Ooh, pinned inside the 10. 3 minutes left in the third. Okay. But, you know, it's kind of amazing how a lot of those people... Oh, that's not good at all. You know, if you're somebody that grew up being into sports like I was, and still am, you know, those people help kind of create the soundtrack for your childhood, you know, like even like in college, like, you know, I miss guys like Brent Musburger, you know, the old Monday night crew was at like Merlin Olsen and Frank Giffords and well, it was always Al Michaels, wasn't it? It was Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, and Dan Deerdorf is who it was. Merlin Olsen was on CBS, I think. Or like Joe Buck. I still don't. I mean, I remember I was watching baseball when Jack Buck was calling him. Oh, he's in. Damn it. It's funny how much people hate Joe Buck. And the only thing I can think, like, I always feel like Joe Buck, it's like somehow he manages to seem like he's a fan of whatever teams are playing in the game that he's calling. You know, like he's excited or sounds excited, you know, no matter what happens on the field. And so I feel like you get a lot of fans who they're watching the game. Like if you're watching like the Niners and the Cowboys and like, you know, I'm a Niners fan. And if the Cowboys do something good, like Joe Buck acts excited about it. And so then like you get these Niner fans who think like, oh, Joe Buck is like showing favoritism to the other team, you know, because you're upset that maybe something happened. But, you know, like Joe Buck just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, I believe, as a broadcaster. Or he got announced. He hasn't actually been inducted yet. And I think he 100% deserves it. And, man, I remember, this was several years ago now, but it was either in 2010, 2012, or 2014, because it was one of the years that that the Giants won the World Series. And it was also when the Niners were good. I think Harbaugh was still the coach at that time, and the Niners were good. And there was a Niner game at Candlestick, and then there was a World Series game that night. And Joe Buck, it was an afternoon game, the football game, and Joe Buck called the Niners football game for Fox. And then they got a helicopter and flew him over to what was then called AT&T Park still, to call the World Series game with the Giants. And I just thought, like, man, that's pretty cool. You know, like he could have easily said that he didn't want to do one of those. Like, well, I'm calling the World Series, so like I don't want to be messing around with a football game. But he still did both. And I thought that was cool. And he used to call the World Series games with Tim McCarver, but if I remember correctly, Tim McCarver retired, right? And I always liked him. You always read people don't like him either. Like, I feel like being a sports commentator is like not a good job if you're somebody who, like, maybe honestly like me sometimes gets a little bit too sensitive about you know, feedback from viewers. What are you doing, man? Because it just seems like everybody hates you. Oh, I should say that, though, then. For football, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, that's a really good pairing, too. And, man, when I was a kid, boy, did I ever hate Troy Aikman. It's funny, when you're a sports fan, I've probably mentioned this before, but, when you're a sports fan, if there's like some other team or some players on some other team that like have your number, your team's number, you really, I caught it. You really hate those guys. And like, I used to hate, I hated Troy Aikman. I hated Emmitt Smith. I hated Michael Irvin. Pretty much any of the stars on the Cowboys, because like there was a number of years there where like every year they knocked the Niners out of the playoffs and it would just kill me. But, but then those players retire and then it's like totally different, and then your attitude changes, and you realize like, man, those guys were really good, like all those Cowboys players, that was a nice move. That was a nice move. All those Cowboys players, Emmitt Smith, it's like, what a great player, and like what a privilege that I got to be a football fan and watch guys like that play. And when you spend your time and energy like hating those players or whatever, you're really wasting an opportunity. Like if you're really a sports fan, put your fanboyism aside for a minute and like realize that, maybe like within the confines of sports, like, you're witnessing greatness. And, I know most of you guys don't care about motorsports, but, last week, I'm a huge F1 fan and just motorsports fan in general, but, Lewis Hamilton won his 7th world championship. He tied Michael Schumacher for the most world championships. And, he doesn't show any signs of stopping. And, I see like on social media and Reddit and whatnot, so many people that like, they hate Mercedes and they hate Lewis Hamilton. And frankly, I love the guy and like, I want to see him like smash the crap out of every record there is. And, and a lot of that, Mercedes was not, traditionally my preferred team. Like I'm more of a Ferrari guy, McLaren. I would love to see McLaren do well. But, the fact is like Lewis Hamilton's a winner and Mercedes is a winner, and you're watching like not even a generational talent in both, in him as a driver and the way that team is run. You can be a motorsports fan for the rest of your life and you might not ever see something like that again. So instead of like complaining that you're watching like utter domination by one team, just enjoy it, while enjoy like witnessing greatness on that level while you can. And so I kind of try to do the same thing, with sports in general, like with football. Obviously this year the Niners are not going to do anything nice. So, it's like, it's not like I don't still watch Niners games, but, there's plenty of other things to, other teams to watch and, watch like Aaron Rodgers continue to do well. Drew Brees, this might be his last season. It's probably his last season. Although I think with all the rib injuries that he just sustained, like, he might be done. Was it 4th down and I wasn't paying attention? Yep. Oh, well. Oh, no, it wasn't. Was that a fake punt? Oh, they got a 1st down. Oh, well. Or wait, no, did they? Or no, they turned it over. Okay, nice, good. Sorry, I'm not paying attention. Yeah, I don't know, because, it's okay to root for the other team, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, and just try to just be a sports fan in general and realize that there's other things going on, besides what, you're seeing your own team do. Oh, that's not going to... Oh, yeah. Wow. That could have been a disaster, and I turned it into a 4-yard gain. I'll take it. I know we're not running very much, but, I feel like the Broncos, they seem like they have a pretty good run defense. And let's be honest, like, the AI, oh, you suck. The AI on the Genesis is not so good that if you keep running passing plays, that it's going to like catch on, like what would happen in the real world. So, all right, it's 3rd and 6. Yeah. Oh, man. I think if I pushed the little button to put my head down, I think if I hadn't have done that, I could have scored a touchdown right there. But, I mean, we're doing well. We're into the fourth quarter here. We're up by 10, you know. Certainly we have not, you know, sealed anything up yet. But, you know, if we could score a touchdown here, you know, I think that would do it. That doesn't help. See, what I don't like, the other player came out like he was going to block, but then like he didn't. Although, I mean, at this point, really, it's like just run the clock down, right? All right, that's not bad. So you see, if you didn't see, I switched to my hands group because then I think you get a faster running back that way. All right, it's 3rd and 3. So I want to stick with a running play, I think, because this way, if I don't make it, either choose up some more clock or they're going to have to use another timeout. I'm just going to run the exact same play again, actually. Yeah, all right, we didn't make it. They called a timeout. But that's okay, because now we're going to kick a field goal, and they're basically going to have to score 2 touchdowns, assuming we make the field goal in a pretty short amount of time. So hopefully that gets the job done. I mean, I understand there hasn't been a whole lot of scoring in this game, so maybe it's not super exciting to watch, but barely. But I just think it's fun with these flashback episodes and whatnot, or any episodes really, to put like a little bit of a Let's Play segment at the end. It makes it more fun for me too, but like I said, it kind of makes it more of a variety show, if that makes sense. All right, down at the 15. Yeah, I'm just going to run like deep zones. I don't know if there's a defensive play here that's actually called a prevent defense, but come on, catch it. I was trying. But anyway, yeah, I don't know if there's a prevent defense in here, but, this will be close enough. I mean, that's all that is anyway, really, like a deep zone, right? In fact, I'm going to pull this guy back. Because, I mean, I have no problem giving up the run. Ooh, somebody got a hand on that one. Deep zone. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else I can say about this game. Like I said, you play this game now, and if you're not really able to or willing to sort of appreciate the game sort of in its own time and place, then, I guess I can see where someone might look at this now and be like, this looks a little bit rudimentary. But, even compared to some of the later releases, but I mean, most of the Madden games on the Genesis were pretty good games. Like I said, my personal favorite is Madden 93. I don't really know why exactly. Madden 92, I think that's the one Corey prefers, because Madden 92 is the one where players can get injured and the ambulance pulls onto the field, which I admit is funny. And then Madden, the John Madden Championship Edition that I showed, that one's cool because it's like nothing but like, championship caliber teams through the years. So no just regular teams. It'll be like, San Francisco 88 or San Francisco 89 or things like that. And that game's pretty rare because... Oh, we got the ball back too. Nice. I didn't even see that. We're just going to keep running it. Well, not with that we're not, but... Yeah, here we go. Like I read, on the internet, people say that like, oh, John Madden Championship Edition was like, oh wow, look at that. That's nice. That was pretty. People say that it was like rental only, like, oh, you could only get it at like places like Blockbuster. And it's like, that's kind of only half true. First of all, I think you could buy it through some rental stores, but from what I've read online, like on Usenet and whatnot, I think that game was actually eventually made available via mail order. But, man, I think I read somewhere that somebody ordered it through the mail, but like it cost more than the regular game. Like somebody might have paid like 90 or $100 for it, if I remember correctly. But my point is just like, if you go look like on eBay or something for copies of John Madden Football Championship Edition, you see a lot of nice copies of the game. In fact, the copy I have is a pretty nice copy. I think Michael gave it to me because he found an even nicer copy for himself. But even the copy I have, it's you can tell it's not an X rental, is my point. That's a game that somebody owned, but there's no way that it has no rental stickers on it, but like the label's not worn out. So, obviously people were able to buy that game, privately. But that being said, I mean, it's not I don't even know what the current price for that. I mean, the prices now are so insane. So I don't know how much that game actually goes for now, but I mean, for a sports game, it's up there. Oh, are they going to make it? Oh, he caught it. Wow. But now there's only, they called their last time out. There's 2 seconds left. It's funny. They're down by 20, It's like, just give it up, man. All right, so here we go. Last play of the game. It was long. We've been playing this for like almost 40 minutes. Well, I did 5-minute quarters. What do you want from me? I'm going to go way back here. All right, you heard the gun go off. Oh, man, what a way to end it. All right, let's see. We each had one turnover. Final score was 27-7. We dominated on first down, 7-3. Look at the rushing yards, 27-5. And even the passing yards, I mean, 150 yards passing is very low. So, and we ended up with a higher completion percentage. And look at that, 7 sacks. I'm pretty proud of that. And I think that's it. I think if I hit the button, oh yeah, we get this little thing now. That looks pretty cool, Got a new little song there. And then if I hit the button again, I think it's going to go back to, yep, title screen there with the man himself. So that's it. That is the original happy 30th birthday to the original John Madden Football. If you get bored on Thanksgiving, maybe it's after dinner and you got a little bit of a turkey coma going on, fire this game up for old time's sake and imagine yourself being a kid or a teenager in November of 1990 and maybe you just got this game. I don't know, how cool would that have been? Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of Flashback. As always, thanks for watching. Have an excellent Thanksgiving, and I'll see you guys next time.